what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy
Let's start this hour by recapping that LSU spring scrimmage, if you want to call it that. It was essentially just an open practice where fans could go, and then they had kind of a meet and greet where players signed autographs after. But we'll go ahead and call it the spring scrimmage. If you're looking for like a full play-by-play breakdown, Matt Moscona has a really good write-up on LouisianaSports.net. Hunt Palmer put out one a little bit later, kind of giving his overall thoughts on maybe what this offense is going to be centered around based on what they have seen during spring. You know, it sucks. Like, normally I go out there a lot during fall practice because I got to do, like, post-practice interviews and all that. They practice at, like, 8 a.m. and they're done at 9:45. So it's really hard for all of us to get out there. But Matt and Hunt, they have done a great job all spring long of covering that. So kind of how the scrimmage worked, they did a full scrimmage. The first offense started at their own 35-yard line. It was a full tackle. And then they did a 2-minute offense, punt team, goal line, field goal unit, 7-on-7 red zone offense. That's kind of how the scrimmage broke down. And again, Matt has like a play-by-play breakdown of what occurred in that game. I just have a few overarching thoughts. Shocker, LSU is loaded at the wide receiver position. If you were at the scrimmage, you saw that. You go back and look. Barry and Brown made a lot of nice plays. Whether it was from Nussmeier or Michael Van Buren, Kyle Parker stood out. He caught a touchdown pass from Van Buren. That was Van Buren's best pass of the day. It was during red zone period. He split the corner in the safety, fired one in there to Kyle Parker. Parker did a nice job of holding on to it. Nick Anderson ran some really nice routes. He's a guy that's 6'5". He's a guy that I've been high on since he got to campus, mainly because you don't have anybody else like a Nick Anderson. He is a guy who's 6'4", 6'5". I mean, you have Trey'Dez Green, but I'm talking pure wide receiver, going to line up out wide every single play. You don't have a guy like that outside of Nick Anderson. Van Buren missed him on a few throws. There was one deep one down the sidelines where if Nick Anderson catches that ball, it's likely a touchdown. Van Buren just sailed on him a little bit. We'll get to him a little bit later on, but Xavier Thomas was really good. He is going to be used in a variety of ways. You saw this a little bit last year. If you remember last year, sometimes through some of the games, even the opening game of the year against USC, they'll line Xavier Thomas up in the backfield and they'll hand it off to him. Xavier Thomas scored on an end around in that scrimmage in the red zone period on Saturday. He caught some nice balls as well. He is going to be a part of this offense. Now, is he going to be an every down wide receiver? No. I think he's going to be more of your gadget guy. Of course, we know about Aaron Anderson. I mean, Aaron Anderson is your leading returning receiver from a year ago in terms of yards. I mean, we talked about Kyron Lacey earlier. He had about 895. Aaron Anderson was a little under 1,000 yards. I mean, he had a lot better season than a lot of people realize. Because when he caught on, like game 4, game 5 of the season, I mean, he was the go-to guy from then on out. I don't think much of that's going to change. But look, we know the offense is good, right? I mean, we know this offense. T-Bob talks about it all the time. The combination of the first offense and the second offense, O-line, quarterbacks, skill positions, is as good as any in the country. Because let's look at it. Like, let's say your starters, the starters in spring right now have been your returning guys. So let's say Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, Xavier Thomas are your 3 starting receivers. Just for argument's sake. Do I think it's going to necessarily shake out like that? No, because I think all these guys are going to mix and match depending on the game. Okay, so those are your first 3. In the second group, you got Barry and Brown, Nick Anderson, Kyle Parker. And that's 6 really good receivers. You got Bauer Sharp and Trey'Dez Green at tight end. Nuss is one of the best quarterbacks, maybe the best quarterback in all of college football, returning for this season. We know what Caden Durham can do. I'll get to him in a minute. He actually did not practice. But then behind him, you got a Caleb Jackson. You got a Harlan Berry. Michael Van Buren, I know he was thrown in there because of injury. And there were some mixed reviews on him, but this is a guy that was still a starter in the SEC last season. He is your backup quarterback now. And then we know about the O-line rotations, whether it's DJ Chester, Braylon Moore at center. You got Josh Thompson. Is he going to be in the starting lineup? Is he going to be that swing player coming off the bench? I mean, you're not proven on the offensive line as far as returning production, but I think there's a lot of talent there. I think you're actually deeper, maybe, talent-wise, than a lot of people realize. So we know this offense is going to be good. I want to focus on the defense a little bit because I think this cornerback room in particular is going to be a lot better than it was last season. P.J. Woodland had an incredible diving interception on a pass from Nussmeier. And I get it. Like, people are going to say, oh, well, that's typical Nussmeier, trying to fit the ball somewhere where he can't fit it. No. I mean, this ball looked like it was in a safe spot. P.J. Woodland dives out for it, makes a grab. Really nice play. That was the play of the day on defense, in my opinion. DJ Pickett, look, he got beat a few times, but he showed some flashes. He looked like a freshman out there at times, but at times you saw, okay, I get why he was a 5-star. I get why he was the number 1 DB in high school football last year. I get it. You can see the hype that's going to come with reps. DJ Pickett is as talented as anybody on this team. Mansour Delane, whether it's been in spring practices, the spring scrimmage everyone was allowed to go to on Saturday, Mansour Delane is all over the field. There is a spot for him on this team. I think he's going to be a starter on this team somewhere. Look, Perkins is supposed to play nickel. Can you move Mansour Delane to safety? Is he going to grab one of those outside corner spots? I don't think it matters. Mansour Delane has been really good on this team so far in the spring. And then Ashton Stamps, kind of the forgotten guy. The guy that's started pretty much every game for you a year ago. And I get it, all the hype was around Zy Alexander because he was that dominant shutdown corner. I thought Stamps did some nice things last year. At times he struggled, but at times, I mean, he came up with plays for you. It's a guy that, at least starting experience at LSU-wise, he is by far your most experienced player. He made some plays. I thought he looked really good. So, I mean, the DBs as a whole, safeties were okay. Safeties, it was one of those situations where they didn't flash, but they didn't look disastrous either. And in a spring scrimmage, when you're breaking in a lot of new guys, I'm okay with that. If the safeties don't stand out negatively, I'm good with it. They don't necessarily have to flash and make a huge play because I think the corners are going to do that for you. If you can just not get beat deep as a safety, come up, make the play when you're supposed to, I'm good with it because that's better than what we've seen the last 2 to 3 years. A player I want to highlight, though, is Caleb Jackson. He got a heavy workload, and he performed well. Now, the heavy workload, Caden Durham did not practice in that scrimmage. There were reports that some saw him on the sidelines. It doesn't appear to be anything serious. I mean, it could just be one of those precautionary things. We know what Caden Durham can do, right? I mean, he's going to be your starter coming into this season. I think he's one of the best backs in the SEC. I think he showed that last year. But Caleb Jackson got a lot of run. I mean, just look. So Matt has that play-by-play breakdown I told you about on LouisianaSports.net. When you go into the full scrimmage period, Caleb Jackson got the start over Harlem-Berry. 1st and 10, Caleb Jackson for 9 yards. 2nd and 1, Caleb Jackson for 6 yards. Nuss throws an incompletion. What do they do on 2nd and 10? They go back to Jackson for a short gain. Then you throw some balls around, and then the second series, your twos come in. But then in the 2-minute offense, you throw a screen pass to Caleb Jackson. That's something we didn't see last year. Not a lot of passes to the running backs out of the backfield. And when you had it, it was likely Caden Durham. Caleb Jackson really didn't get a lot of run this past season. And a lot of that was because people said, okay, well, he can't catch the ball out of the backfield. He's not a great pass blocker. He caught the ball out of the backfield well on Saturday. He caught a few passes out of the backfield. And I'm glad to see that because, you know, I set up here a few weeks back. I don't remember if it was on this show or when I was filling in for Hunt Palmer. And I said, as talented as Caleb Jackson is, I think he could potentially be a transfer risk. And it made sense at the time because, look, you have Caden Durham. He passed up Caleb Jackson last season. Caden Durham's going to be your number 1. There's no question about it. Harlem-Berry's coming in. He looked explosive on Saturday. He had a good game. But you have Harlem-Berry coming in. He was a number 1 running back in high school football. You have JT Lindsey coming in. He's not here yet, but he's coming in the fall. I just looked at it as if Harlem-Berry can pass up Caleb Jackson in the spring, Jackson's already behind Caden Durham. He knows JT Lindsey's coming in the fall. Would he consider other options? And he may still do that. I'm not saying he will or he won't. That was just a thought that was going through my head. If the scrimmage is any indication, they're going to use Caleb Jackson a lot. Now, again, I get it. Caden Durham wasn't there, but I mean, Caleb Jackson got a heavy workload. That scrimmage was a time where they could have thrown Harlenberry in there and given him reps. But they didn't. They went with Caleb Jackson. If that's any indication, Caden Durham, no Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson's going to have a role on this football team, which is good. You're going to need a guy like that. Barry, Lindsey, they're on the smaller side. I mean, Caden Durham's not huge either. Caleb Jackson's that one guy who's that big-bodied back. If you need short yardage, maybe that's a role he can carve out in the fall. I hope he sticks around. I think there's a chance he does now. Overall takeaways of this scrimmage, though, the playmakers on offense, top to bottom, are as good as anyone in this conference. Again, they don't have a lot of returning production outside of an Aaron Anderson and a Caden Durham, but top to bottom, talent-wise, ones and twos, I think this team's as good as anybody in the SEC as far as offensive playmakers. And the DB room, I'll keep going back to it. They should be a lot better. Safety still a slight concern. However, they didn't look disastrous on Saturday. But that DB room made a lot of plays. And again, you're going against Garrett Nussmeier. You're going against Michael Van Buren. You're going against guys that have started games in the SEC. He still performed well. Because I get it. Mansour Delane, he's new to this team. He started a bunch of games at Virginia Tech. DJ Pickett comes in, has no experience, but you know how talented he is. And then Ashton Stamps, some people may feel a certain type of way about him, but the fact of the matter is he's played a lot of games his first 2 years here. He's your most experienced guy, at least under Brian Kelly. You have a lot of different guys that can do a lot of different things offensively and defensively. I thought the pass rush looked good. Jack Pyburn got back there a few times. That's good to see because Pyburn came here to rush the passer. I mean, he mentioned, look, I didn't get to quite do that at Florida as much as I wanted to. I came here to do that. And Jack Pyburn, it was a 3rd and 10 play. It was the second series during the full scrimmage. He got a sack on 3rd and 10 to end that drive for the second offense. Pyburn can be a third down pass rusher. We talk about it all the time. You have Gabe Relaford, Patrick Payton, Jamari Butler, Jack Piper. Those are kind of the 4 big names to watch as far as that D-end edge rusher spot. Who can take over and be that third down pass rusher? Pyburn came here because he wanted to prove he can do that, and he did it on Saturday. He's not going to be the only guy. Patrick Payton can rush the passer. Gabriel Relaford showed promise last year. Jamari Butler's been a productive player in college. But the fact that Pyburn was able to get in there and make some plays, pass rushing wise, is a good sign because you can't ever have too many pass rushers.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.